Hey, welcome to this total body yoga stretch. This is a perfect yoga stretch for all levels, and it is a great way to unlock your full body flexibility in just 25 minutes. So you don't need any equipment for this, and we're going to start down in a child's pose, bringing the big toes together and the knees to come out wide, sitting the pelvis back, lengthening the arms forward, taking some deep breaths here. And as you do, starting to allow the breath to start to move all the way down to the low back, letting everything melt down. On your next inhale, softly gazing up and walking the hands over to the right side of your mat and melting back down, releasing here. Maybe you might stack the left hand on top of the right and allowing the hips to soften even further back, relaxing everything down, breathing deeply. Taking a deep breath in as you start to lift the gaze and walking the hands over to the center and then lowering back down. And then inhale as you roll the spine, coming all the way up to a high kneeling position. Bringing the hands to the lower back and finding a little back bend here, lifting the heart up towards the ceiling, letting the head come back if it feels good. Maybe you might even come to bring the hands onto the heels, finding a full extension, or you might just stay with the hands pressing into the low back. And then when you're ready, coming back through center and sitting the pelvis back as you lengthen the arms forward, melting down. As you continue to find those deeper breaths, it might feel good to roll the forehead a few times over the mat, seeing all the muscles of the face, the jaw. And then on your next inhale, gazing up and walking the hands over to the left side, lowering back down. Maybe you're stacking the right hand on top of the left, or maybe you have the hands side by side. Maybe you might notice the breath as it moves into the ribs, noticing that expansion of the side waist as you breathe in, and as everything softens back out as you breathe out. And taking your time to slowly start to walk the hands back through center and melting back down. And then taking your time to slowly make your way all the way to a tabletop position, allowing the knees to be in line with the hips and the hands to be in line with the shoulders, dropping the belly, lifting the gaze and tailbone, and then as you exhale, rounding the spine, bringing the chin to chest, and continuing with this, moving and flowing in a way that feels awesome for you today. Finding some movement into the spine and connecting your breath into this movement. Maybe it is to move fast with this, or it might be to move slower. It might feel really good to start to let the mind focus on the sound of your breath. You might even connect this to a sound of the ocean flowing freely, breathing in through the nose as you come up and exhaling all the way out as you round back. And then coming back through center and starting to find your balance, weighted over onto the left hand, reaching the right fingertips up, and you are lengthening the right leg out, or you can bring the foot down onto your mat. Circling the top arm all the way around. Really moving from the shoulder here with this and lifting up out of the side waist. Finding a connection to your breath. So inhale as you sweep the arm all the way around. Exhale as you finish that circle. And keeping the ribs closed, flowing freely, and then going back the other way when you're ready. Maybe noticing the difference between the sensation of the shoulder as you move from one direction to the next. And then taking your time, eventually coming back through center and finding the hand coming back down and bringing the knee all the way through, stepping the right foot forward, reaching the hands up towards the ceiling, and then pressing the hips back as you lift the toes towards the face. Inhale, coming up, reaching the fingertips up, shoulders away from the ears. Exhale as you find a beautiful stretch into the back of the leg. Inhale, finding that crescent lunge, reaching the fingertips. Exhale, pressing the hips back as you lift the toes towards the face. Just flowing freely with this from your crescent lunge into your hamstring stretch. And as you continue, just letting the shoulders relax, finding that the hips are evenly pressing back and you are finding your weight very even through both sides of the body. Next time you come down, framing that front foot and bringing the knee back. Coming back to your tabletop position and allowing everything to find its weight even through the hands and the knees. And then you're starting to bring the fingertips to point outwards, and then maybe even letting the fingertips come all the way to point backwards. So we're finding a really nice stretch into the forearms and the wrists here. And then maybe you are starting to shift forward and back a little bit, maybe side to side. Keeping those deeper breaths going. Maybe sending your breath to any area that feels a little bit tight or a little bit restricted, allowing each breath to start to soften it out. And then taking your time to start to bring the fingertips to face forward again, and we are finding that really nice tabletop position here, pressing the shoulders towards the mat, soft engagement into the core, link through the back of the neck, and you are starting to find that side plank on the other side. So reaching those left fingertips up as you bring the right hand down. You might lower the top leg down, or you might have the leg lifted up, and we're circling the left arm all the way around. Finding that lift up out of the side waist, ribs are closed, and all of the movement is coming from the shoulder. Flowing your breath with this. And when you're ready, you can start to circle that arm all the way back in the opposite direction. Maybe again you're noticing if there's any difference with the arm movement, so the shoulder, if it's feeling any different sensations. Maybe one shoulder feels a little bit different to the other, and then taking your time to come all the way back, floating the hand back down, and you are stepping the left foot forward, reaching the fingertips up towards the ceiling, and then pressing the hips back, lifting the toes towards the face, and then inhale as you shift the hips forward again, reaching the fingertips up, shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, finding that length through the back of the leg as you press your hips back towards the back of your mat. Keeping this going again, just flowing freely. staying here and starting to shift that left leg back and rolling up to your kneeling position. Stepping the right foot forward, finding your weight into that foot as you lift up tall out of the spine, all the way out the top of the head. And then just reaching back and grabbing hold of the left foot. Otherwise, you can simply just allow the heel to come towards the glutes. You don't have to reach the actual foot, and if you are grabbing hold of the foot, you might start to draw that heel or that foot in towards the glute. Staying really lifted here through the whole spine, and then when you're ready, releasing and coming all the way back, framing the front foot and sweeping that leg back. We're bringing the right leg all the way back and tucking the toes, bringing the foot over to the outside edge of the mat as you gaze over the left shoulder, finding some length through the side waist here. Taking some deep breaths in through the nose, pressing that heel all the way back. Exhale as you start to relax into this. And then inhale, coming back through center, and knee comes forward, placing that front foot, that right foot forward, reaching the fingertips up towards the ceiling, and then floating the hands down, framing the front foot and sweeping the leg back. Coming back to your tabletop, inhale, lengthening the left leg out and dropping the toes over to the right side of your mat. Starting to press the heel back as you gaze over the right shoulder, finding length here through the side waist. Inhaling in, and as you exhale, pressing that heel even further back, finding a really nice stretch into the calf muscle, the back of the leg, and then inhale, coming back through center and drawing the knee in, placing the foot forward, reaching the fingertips up, and then floating the hands back down. Sweeping the right hand around and bringing the right heel in towards the glute. Maybe you're holding onto the foot and drawing the foot in towards the glute. Or maybe you have simply got the heel coming in towards the glute. Maybe you're staying in your lunge position without lifting up through that foot. Taking some really deep breaths, inhaling in as you find a little bit more of a zip up sensation through the core, through the pelvic floor, all the way up, out the top of the head. And then as you exhale, releasing, letting the foot go. Starting to frame the front foot with the hands and then stepping the leg to come back. Starting to sit back towards the heels, rounding the spine, rolling all the way up and sitting up tall, sitting back towards the heels, and then starting it to hinge back. So keeping length into the spine as you start to find a little hinge back and the knees lift slightly off of your mat. Finding a nice stretch into the front side of the feet, and maybe you are coming back even further here if it feels okay. Finding as much of a stretch into the ankles, into the front side of the shins a little bit as well, and then taking your time to come all the way to sit to the side. And we are stacking the right knee on top of the left. So sweeping that right leg all the way over and then drawing the heels to come into either side of the hips. And just sitting up nice and tall here. Inhale as you lengthen the left arm all the way up and the right fingertips come down to your mat. Gazing underneath the armpit here. And ribs are closed, finding a beautiful sensation of coming up and over to that left side, breathing deeply in and fully out. Soft gaze, relaxing the muscles of the face, jaw, and then on your next inhale, starting to float the arm down, and then let's bring it over to the other side. So you're crossing the left knee on top of the right, bringing those heels in as close to either side of the pelvis as you can, and finding a nice weighted down of the glutes and the pelvis, and shoulders roll up, releasing those shoulders down. And then inhale as you start to float the right arm up and gazing underneath the arm. Seeing if you can open out that right shoulder even more. Maybe you're gazing up towards the hand, or you might be just gazing up towards the ceiling in some way. Really working into what feels amazing for you today. And then on your next inhale, we're starting to float this all the way back down, releasing the arm and releasing the shoulders down. Nice, and any kind of movement here into the head and neck that feels good. Unravel, and we are starting to bring the left foot to the inside of the right inner thigh, flexing the right toes towards the face, and you're twisting towards that left side, bringing the right hand to the outside of the knee or the outside of the thigh. And inhale, sitting up even taller. Exhale as you start to twist a little bit deeper. And doing that again. Deep breath in, lifting up tall, finding even more length, shoulders relaxed. Exhale as you unravel, coming all the way back through center. And then inhale, reaching the arms up, lengthening up. Exhale as you float forward, letting everything relax. Head to knee, and letting the hips come back towards the back wall as you start to allow the breath to start to slowly soften you into the stretch a little bit more. Maybe you're holding on to the foot in some way, or you might just have the arms down to either side of the leg, feeling the breath as it starts to move the belly, feeling the belly pressing into the top of the leg on your inhale, and on the exhale, feeling as the belly softens away from the leg. And then taking your time when you're ready to come all the way back up, sitting up tall, and let's switch sides, bringing the sole of the right foot to the left inner thigh. Inhale as you lift up, exhale as you start to bring the left hand to the outside of that right knee, gazing over the right shoulder. You've got a little flex into the left toes here, looking after the knee, and sitting up even taller as you inhale, exhale. Twisting a little bit deeper without any force, letting the breath be what's moving you. So allowing each breath to start to soften you into the stretch a little bit more. And taking your time to unravel. Head comes back through first, and then the rest of the body follows. And then taking a moment here to ground the pelvis down. Inhale as you reach the fingertips up. Exhale as you start to hinge forward at the hips, staying with that lengthened spine and letting the head come down towards the knee. And either taking hold of the foot, or maybe you are letting the arms fall to either side of the leg, finding those deep breaths. Slowly rolling all the way back up and lengthening up tall, releasing the shoulders down and away from the ears. And then we're making our way all the way down onto our backs and bringing the soles of the feet onto your mat. Taking a few moments here to notice that connection of the feet. Letting the shoulders come away from the ears. Some length into the back of the neck, and then bringing the outside of the right ankle to place just in front of the left knee, and then very slowly letting the foot fall over to that left side. Maybe you have your right arm in a cactus shape. You might have both arms in that cactus shape if it feels good. Maybe the arms are down by your sides. Finding a really nice twist here as you breathe a little more deeply in through the nose, and then sending that exhalation to melt away any tension. Taking your time to slowly unravel, letting the head come back through first, and then the legs come back. Placing the right foot down as you lengthen out the left foot, and we are placing the right hand underneath the low back, and then you are starting to let the right knee fall out to the side, or if it feels better you can keep the foot on your mat. Allowing the pelvis to be heavy, letting both of the hips start to soften towards your mat, feeling a nice openness across the front side of the heart center and also through the front side of the throat. You might feel a softness into the core here, so finding that engagement of core, but in a really soft way without pressing the belly button back. And then taking your time to start to bring the foot back onto the mat and lifting up that right hip as you release the hand. Let's come to the other side. So placing the left ankle to cross in front of the right knee, and then slowly starting to lower the right knee over as that foot starts to find the mat. And then maybe here you might have the arms in that cactus shape, or maybe one arm is in your cactus shape and the other one might be down by your side. And maybe the head rolls over to face towards that left side as you continue to breathe here. Taking a deep breath in as you start to bring the head back through center, unravel, and letting the foot come back onto your mat. And then you're straightening out the right leg, flexing the right toes back. Maybe you are bringing the arms into a cactus shape, or you are letting the right hand come behind the neck as you start to lift the left hip up and bring the left hand underneath the low back. And maybe you are opening the left hip out, bringing the sole of that foot onto the inner thigh, or if it feels better you might bring the foot onto your mat. And continuing to breathe here, breathing deeply in and fully out, sending that breath all the way down from the top of the head, out the toes, feeling the whole back body becoming even heavier with every breath. Hips starting to soften, and then taking your time to start to come all the way out of this and bringing both feet onto your mat. Finding that connection of the soles of the feet here, and bringing the arms down by your sides and drawing the knees in as you hug the knees in towards the heart center. Taking a deep breath in, expanding the whole front side body, and then exhale as you start to relax everything out. Maybe here you might rock from side to side a little bit, any kind of movement that feels really good, before coming into your final resting shape, Shavasana. So maybe this is to lengthen the legs long, bringing the arms out to the sides. Maybe it is to be in a different position. You might just create a little bit more space for yourself by taking up a little bit more room, letting the arms come out even wider, flipping the palms to the ceiling, the outside of the feet falling heavy to either side. Taking some final deep breaths in through the nose, and as you exhale, letting that exhalation Completely relax every muscle. Thank you so much for joining me. Feel free to stay here for as long as you like before going about the rest of your day or night. Take care. Can't wait to see you again soon.